What's good, bro? We back again.
What's going on, bruh? Another
Man,
day.
another day, another dollar. I heard out here laughing at a whole bunch of sports stuff related. We about to get into all that. It's been popping over the last week with sports, man, especially the NBA. Who I think Ben Simmons heard our rant. I
Yeah,
think
he
he
shot a
heard.
few jumpers, man.
Man, he heard us, bro. I promise. He ain't gonna never admit it. He heard us though. Even Joel Embiid said he was surprised.
My
it's
man
it's
never shoots, man, but whatever. I'm about to enjoy myself tonight here in Charlotte with the All-Star festivities, going to the
Hey,
rookie game. Yes, sir.
hey, yeah. Who you got your eye on at this rookie game? Because the rookie game, the only thing that be competitive.
Oh, yeah, Luca. That's who I'm watching.
Yep.
That's the best. That's the best player on the floor on both sides. I'm watching
Yep.
him.
Luca, hey man, I keep saying it. Luca gonna turn me into a Mavs fan, but I can't stop watching this. I ain't never watched so many Mavs games in my life, man. Like Luca, the real deal, man. I'm feeling his game, man. So I'm interested in
Yeah,
seeing what he do. So yeah, I'm a little jealous that you get to partake in those festivities and I don't.
yeah. He make
But
Luca make Lonzo Ball look like Smush Parker. Yeah, yeah, I said it. Y'all can blame Luke Walton all you want, but at some point, bro, you gotta play. Just get going, man. I don't even want to talk about it right now.
we're gonna touch on that another day. But yeah, man, we're gonna dive right into this Ben Simmons jump shot. So last week, I know I went on this huge rant. A lot of people on Instagram thought it was funny, but it needed to be said. I had somebody mad at me on YouTube. I don't care. I hope it
Yeah,
hurt
I
to
saw
you too.
that. Yeah, he was pissed.
I hope it hurt to him too. But I feel like Ben Simmons heard me because all of a sudden he started
Man,
pulling up. And all I gotta say after watching him pull up is I'm sorry that I put you on Front Street to make you put that broke ass jumper on the court, bro.
don't
Because
be
it's
sorry,
terrible.
man. Don't be
It's
sorry.
terrible.
He needs to shoot. It don't matter if it's terrible. You still need to shoot, man.
It's
Shoot the
so
ball,
bad.
man. Shoot it.
Look, LeBron guarded this man from 40 feet away. He literally stood up under the basket and refused to move. Your team
Yeah,
scored 143 points. You had 8.
that's that's the thing though. That's what's so impressive about the Sixers. LeBron was literally guarding him, literally in the paint, not at the free throw line like Kobe used to do Westbrook and Rondo. No, my man is underneath the basket, and everybody else was kind of doing the same thing, just not even like, look, man, you can't play basketball. I'm not even gonna guard you. And they scored 143 points. The Sixers easily have the most talent in the East. They should go to the finals, but I don't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah, they
You
should,
know,
but
hold on, my bad. I didn't mean to cut you off, but real quick, what happened to them against the Celtics was the playoffs.
yep.
That's what happened, and
Yep.
a lot of it has to do with the disrespectful way they have to guard Ben Simmons, bro. If he could do anything on the offensive end besides sprinting and passing the ball, they would be unstoppable.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing with Ben Simmons. That's my biggest rant with him is you got this dude, damn near 7 feet, can run, got good footwork, like nimble, agile, all this stuff, can jump, length, strong. But it's like he's the same player he was when he was in the 8th grade, when all that stuff mattered the most. When you can get away with stuff because you was just so much bigger and more athletically gifted. But now when he up on this stage and you have somebody who of equal impressive measurements in LeBron
Like
saying,
who?
LeBron, where you have somebody of equal impressive measurements that guard you and say, I'm not even going to exude no energy on you because
Bro,
I know how to beat you. And then I'm going to smile in your face and chit chat with you after the game like you my best friend. Like, you ain't going to guard me from 40 feet away and then we hug it out after the game. That is a sign of disrespect. It just, like, you have no respect for my game whatsoever.
uh,
Like, I can't be your
uh,
friend. And I think it was interesting, the whole story of him wanting Magic Johnson to tutor him and teach him the raise and all this stuff. And, obviously, they wasn't having that, which is smart on the Sixers end, because Magic Johnson, he been known to dip his hands in the Kool-Aid too much lately. He'd try to snatch your player if he get the shit. Magic Johnson, a real one. But, I definitely think that it made sense for the idea, but I don't think you need Magic Johnson to know that, hey, I just need to work on this. It ain't like Magic Johnson was had a dope ass jump shot his damn self, So I don't think you need Magic.
He developed to being at least okay. That's all we ask.
Okay, but it ain't like Magic Johnson's the guy to go to if you try to fix your jumper. That's all I'm saying.
Honestly, I think he's trying to talk to Magic just because their games are so similar, and maybe he's trying to ask him, how did you play without a jumper at first? You know what I'm saying? But even then, even when Magic jumper was horrible at the beginning, you go back and watch the tape, he still was shooting. He would shoot a hook. I mean, if he could just shoot a hook shot, a jump hook, he ain't got to be the sky like Kareem. If he could just post up and do that, that changes everything.
In the Sixers' last 3 games, they have Ben Simmons has literally shot the ball more than he has in total over the last 3 years. So the fact that he wouldn't even pull up is what's probably the most disturbing. I mean, like I said, you got Joel Embiid, who literally the reporters asked him after the game, was you guys surprised? And he was flat out honest with it. He was like, hell yeah. He was like, I was calling for the ball, then he shot it, and I was like, oh damn, he ain't know what to do. Like, he was blown away that he shot the ball, and it's like, yeah, you got to, man. Like, you have to come out there, you have to do something. But the fact that you've waited so long, and you're 3 years into the pros, and you literally have somebody guarding you from 40 feet away, like, that's unheard of, man. Like, they don't have zero respect for you. I've never, like you said, you had Kobe, who used to guard guys from the free throw line when he knew they couldn't shoot. This man, LeBron, stood up under the basket. He was inside the half circle. Like,
oh, hold up. And damn near turned his back to help out on screen.
Yeah.
Go watch the film, bro. He damn near turned around because they were running picks underneath the basket, and he was trying to help, but, they were running out wide, so I don't know what that defensive strategy, that didn't work at all.
The funniest thing I found about that game was I saw Ben Simmons driving to the lane once. LeBron didn't even flinch. He stood there and said, as long as you don't get within 4 feet of the rim, I'm good. He drove in. LeBron didn't flinch. So what did Ben Simmons do? He freaked out and faded off to the side and tried to shoot a jump shot from 7 feet and clonked it. It's that bad, man. So I don't know. Ben Simmons, you got some work to do. I'm happy to see you shooting. But if your team, considering that you're supposed to be one of the best players in the league, as they proclaim you to be, I don't. I think you got a long way to go. You're supposed to be one of the best players on your team for sure. Your team can't score 143 points and you only have 8. I'm sorry. It just can't happen because somebody won't let you dunk. That can't happen. That can't happen, man. Go get fouled and go do something. Do something. Like,
you don't. No, you don't want to get fouled.
So get fouled. Don't even work.
God, man, he's like Wilt Chamberlain at the free throw line. He's playing point guard.
It's terrible.
I'm fine. I'll put it like this, man. They're the 5th seed right now, and it doesn't matter what seed they are. These last, 25 games or whatever that's left, he needs to shoot as much as possible and get ready for the playoffs because they are the best team. It doesn't matter what seed they are. I don't care. He needs to get comfortable and at least be able to, man, if he dribbles up and shoots from, right inside the free throw line and he's able to start making that changes the game. You know what I'm saying? But don't worry about losing games because of his shot. That's his problem. He doesn't want to shoot because he's scared it's going to cause his team to lose. And that mentality is a mentality that me and you cannot stand. We'd rather you just keep shooting, man. How you going to get better if you don't at least try it? So the last 3 games, like you said, he's tried to shoot a little bit more. I need to see more clanks, as you call it. Keep shooting, bro. That's the only way y'all going to win the championship. Until he can learn how to score without it being a dunk or layup, no, I'm not feeling the Sixers, man.
Well, speaking of shooting and people not being scared to shoot, I got a few names here of some people who not afraid to shoot. Well, one of them might be afraid to shoot, and you can figure out who that one is. But few names, 5 of them: Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, Steph Curry, and James Harden. These are the guys that was listed as the NBA's most accomplished players over the last 5 years. I can't even say it without laughing because I know how your sick ass mind works.
Those names in the 5 years. Okay, there's some accomplishments in there. You said 5 years. All right.
In the last 5 years, these players got MVPs, NBA championships, NBA MVP championship, championship MVP, finals MVPs, scoring titles, assist titles, triple-double averages, all kind of stuff between these 5 players. Before you go in on them, I just want to say, not that I agree 100% with the last 2 titles or whatever, but if you're looking at just what's happened in the last 2 years, now I know it's the whole 5 years. The last 2 years, I can't take away everything from them. I've seen some exceptional play from 2 of these players. I don't blame Curry as much as you do. I blame Durant more, but I don't blame Curry because Curry was already there, and Curry ain't recruit him. But whatever the case may be, of those 5 players, you got one dude who, he may not shoot as much as the rest of them, being LeBron, and might be more timid. He ain't as timid as Ben Simmons, but more timid, But Westbrook, dog. I mean, he go after it. He may not be the most efficient player, but you got to respect his heart. You got to respect his effort. He goes, I think he deserves to be on that list. I think you look at Curry. Curry was Curry before Durant. Curry going to be Curry after Durant. Curry deserves to be on that list. James Harden, he deserves to be on the list. I don't think it's so much of the last 5 years. I think it's probably more so the last 2 years where James Harden really became the player he is now. But in the last 2 years, he done so much damage. And I want to ask you about this after your rant because I know you're about to go off in a second. But, the last 2 years, what he's been able to do, I think is impressive. But the streak of 30 games of scoring at least 30 points is wow. That's impressive. That's a 30 for 30 story right there. You got 30 games, 30 points, 30 for 30, baby. But it's impressive. And then of course you got Kevin Durant, who I'm gonna leave it off right there and let you speak on these 5 players yourself.
We can start with Kevin Durant, and I say this. The only thing he's accomplished in the last 5 years was that MVP he got, the first one. And what was it, 14?
Exactly.
I give him that. Exactly. I give him that. That was impressive. But all his other accomplishments, the championships, the finals MVPs, he could take those, throw those in the trash, bro. You didn't accomplish nothing. Please tell me a superstar in the history of the game that couldn't join a 73-win team and win a championship and be finals MVP. Anybody. Like all these guys that don't have a ring, like Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, John Stockton, free agency was more available back then. They all could have just said, you know what? I'm going to go play with Michael Jordan. And now I'm going to win championships. Praise my accomplishments. Yeah, we ain't talking about that. Forget that. Patrick Ewing, Reggie Miller. They could have went and played with the Bulls. So I'm supposed to weigh his championships over guys that didn't win because they didn't just join a team that was already probably going to get to the finals anyway. But the man signed with the Warriors. The worst part about it is he took away competition from the entire league. That part in free agency, that's where I'm not with you, dog. I understand you want to play with another star. I get it. That's fine. But when it comes to taking away complete competition, and I'm supposed to praise your accomplishments, man, get out of here. No. When LeBron went to Miami, he took away competition in the East. We can all agree up on that. There was still the Celtics around, so he had a little bit of competition. They were getting older. That's fine. I didn't like it. But this, what he doing? No. And Steph, I'm not mad at Steph. He's got a lot of accomplishments too. And I count his championships. But if you really want me to give him credit for these championships, no. I give him credit for the first one. These last two, no. And he doesn't even play good in the playoffs. People don't talk about that. Steph Curry in the playoffs is not a good dominant player as he is in the regular season. Let's be real. Because we can go back to the first championship. Dog. He was struggling with what was the point guard at the Dellavedova. Dellavedova was in Steph Curry's ass that entire finals, and he struggled. So no, I'm not. I love Steph. I want to be clear about that. But if we talking about individual accomplishments, hell no. In the last 5 years, no. What's impressive is the other three guys you talked about. We can talk about Russell Westbrook, stat padding and this and that other guys could get triple doubles. I can see that argument. I get it, but at the same time, they're not doing it. Russell Westbrook is actually doing it. You could say LeBron could do this night in and night out. Honestly, I disagree with that because I feel like he would tire out. There's a stamina factor with Westbrook, a killer that every night, no matter who he plays, he tries to get every rebound, every assist, every point, every single night. That is not LeBron James. Now, he plays hard. I'm not trying to discredit what he does. But that type of effort every night, no. Russell Westbrook is the only guy that can average a triple-double. Now, James Harden will get into him because what he's doing scoring-wise and assisting is very impressive. The knock on him is that there are a lot of guys that could stand at the top of the key, possession after possession, and go one-on-one or pick and roll, so his stats are beyond skewed north. And we knew that was going to happen with D'Antoni because D'Antoni is not a real coach. He's never been a real coach. He takes his best player and says, run, pick and roll, everybody else spread out. I'm not even going to coach defense. And it works for the most part. But still what he's doing is very impressive, man. Because what he's doing is carrying the team to the playoffs. He has to do what he's doing right now. Chris Paul is still not completely healthy, so that's fine. But even with all that being said, I still say LeBron has the most accomplishments in the last 5 years, and the reason why is because we can knock him for not coming up big in the most critical moments. We really can. But at the same time, what he does year in and year out in the playoffs, Game 5, series tied, what do I always say, man? What's the over-under for LeBron? 40, 10, and 10. You know that's what he's going to bring to the table, man. And at one point in his career, I could say you didn't know what he was going to do. But now, for the game's sake, you know what he's going to do. He's going to bring it. At the end of the game, I don't know. Well, that's always up to question. I mean, he might just have Steph Curry in front of him down one and decide, you know what? I'm going to give it to George Hill. I'm going to give it to George Hill instead and leave it up to the teammates. That's what he does. As far as the competition is concerned, I still have to give it to LeBron. It's in the fabric of the game. It's smooth. It's efficient. And it still gets to the playoffs. Now, I'll tell you this year, he better get his team to the playoffs because there's a guy that everybody says he's better than that was in the same position at the end of his career last year that he was in his prime pretty much. He carried the Lakers to the playoffs.
Yep.
You can argue about which team is better or not. I don't give a damn because he needs to be more like what James Harden and Westbrook are doing and drag them to the playoffs. You have to get in that position. If he don't get them to the playoffs, I don't want to hear nothing about him being better than Kobe no more. I allowed it, these last couple of years. But if he don't get to the playoffs, bro, you fell down. You behind Kobe. Kobe wouldn't allow it.
I'm glad you said that. I'm gonna dive right into our next subject. I ain't even gonna worry about the top five. I have something I want to hit on that, but that's a perfect segue. The Lakers are in shambles right now, and it's a question if they even gonna get the 8th seed. The big thing with LeBron that I always said whenever I would talk to the over the top it's one thing to show a player love. I ain't never knocked LeBron's game. I used to be a huge LeBron fan before I got wise enough to realize he just ain't had the heart that I'm used to. I can't roll with that, But then I never start knocking his game. You know what I mean? His game is what it is. It's legit. It's legendary. You don't have too many players that can do the stuff he do, especially at his size, and to move the way he moved. Get all that. However, even when you would pay that respect to his game, an over-the-top LeBron fan, which is 99% of any fan, real quick, I'm going to get off subject for 10 seconds. When you talk about a legend, a great, a GOAT, if you don't have a fan base that's over the top with everything you do, you're not a GOAT. So you look at Jordan. Jordan fans will argue to the death that he's a GOAT for whatever reason.
No matter what.
You look at LeBron fans, he's the GOAT for whatever reason. Kobe fans, for whatever reason. Tom Brady, for whatever reason. If you don't have a fan base that's going to argue for no reason whatsoever about why you the GOAT, you're not a GOAT. So I will put LeBron in that category of being one of the GOATs. Is he the GOAT? Not in my book, but whatever the case may be.
Hold on. Before you keep going, I'm going to tell you this, just adding on to what fans will do. There are so many LeBron fans that will tell you the reason what makes him so great is the fact that he's smart enough to go stand in the corner and allow Kyrie to win the game for him. They'll say that shit to you.
I know. Come on, with
say it to you, and you be like,
even though of all the GOATs of all sports, he's the only one that's smart enough to say, I don't want nothing to do with the winning. But anyway, but my point is, with all the love and respect you give him for what he does in his game, fans will still argue about the consecutive going to the finals, going to the finals 8 times, and they will argue that. And I always go back to, he's GOAT. He's one of the best you're going to ever see do it. He's the best player in the world right now. But he's in the East. And that would always be my argument. What do you expect when you are the best? You're supposed to fly through the East playoffs because the East wasn't nothing for 7 years.
The thing is, bro, hold up. I'm going to let you go. The thing is, what makes it so bad about the Eastern Conference, it's the fact of who he was playing with those 8 years. The only impressive run of those 8 years of getting to the finals was the last one. Kyrie's gone. Kevin Love, not a star anymore. Hurt, not a star anymore. Right. And the competition kind of leveled out. Those other 7, bro, you was on a team-up squad of stars, at least 2, going against everybody else that either had 1 or none. And I don't want to hear nothing about this Celtics stuff, but they had 4. No, they did not. Those were not stars anymore. Their names were stars, but the best player on that team was Rondo. The best player on that team was Rondo, man. And then on top of that, you are surrounded by shooters, some of the greatest shooters ever. So no, I mean if that's your argument, then next, move on, dog. That's not gonna work for me.
And that's the point, because of all them years of making that argument that he's in the East with probably the best team in the NBA, to be truthful, because he lost some finals that he should have won. So, but numerous times he probably had the best team in the NBA in the East, no competition in the East. You're supposed to do that. But as I always said, Brian did not ever go to the West. For whatever reason, the West been on this 20-year streak where they just dominate out there. 20 years now. The NBA has not been split up for over 20 years, since the mid-90s. And back then, you could say, you got 5 legit teams in the East, and you got 5 or 6 legit teams in the West. It ain't like that. You might have 1 or 2 good teams in the East, and everything else is in the West. LeBron made the mistake of going to the West, and now you're saying what's happening. It ain't as easy. It's not as easy at all, I don't think there's any person that's truly sane that really believes LeBron is going to make it to the finals at this point. You might have thought that before the season, but now that you've had 55, 60 games to look at, there's no way you telling me that you're looking at this. It's not going to make. They are completely in shambles right now. They are, scraping for anything they can get. LeBron came out and said, we need Lonzo back, man. Y'all don't realize how big of a part he is for our team. Oh, now you want to say that after the trade deadline.
Exactly.
Now after the trade deadline, he's an intricate part for y'all to get back on the course. Like, nah, man, get on somewhere with all that. I told you, LeBron likes to use the media the way that he want to use it. He play these games and stuff. LeBron knew what he was doing, sitting there quiet. We talked about it, how it messed with their head. That you get that they're on the trade block and LeBron ain't saying nothing. Now that the trade deadline is over, oh, we need Lonzo back. He gonna help us get back in rhythm. Y'all don't understand how important he is. And I agree, Lonzo is very important to what they need to do, not necessarily what they always do. But you was quiet. You ain't say nothing, And now I think it's all starting to bear down on his shoulders to where he don't know how to handle it. What you think about these Lakers? Because it ain't looking good.
I'll address two things real quick. First of all, shout out to the fans that really thought they would make it to the finals when one team has 5 stars in Northern California. That's just nonsense. I don't know what anybody was thinking on that one. That's just dumb. Second, the one thing I don't like, and he does it so much about LeBron, is that why are you talking about Lonzo right now? He's not coming back for another month. Dog, win your games, man. Stop bringing up other things and excuses, for the media and for us and for his fans. I'll look at my teammate. Look at it. All he had to do is just win. Do whatever it takes. I don't care if it's points, rebounds, defense. Do what you need to do to win and stop crying about it. You don't hear Westbrook crying about the teams that he's had. He just got Paul George last year. And although they didn't play as well as they should have, and mainly because of him, there's still no crying about it. When he started getting these triple-doubles, it's when he didn't have anybody out there with him. He was doing what he had to do to make his team win as much as possible. Bro, Shut up and just ball, man. We know, like I said before, that is for the media and fans and people like us, to give excuses for him. It's not for him to constantly remind us of what he doesn't have. You don't have Lonzo. Lonzo Ball is what you really need to win. Get out of here with that. I'm not trying to hear. You was just trying to trade this man a week ago. So what are you talking about, bro? Win your games, man. Stop crying. Stop. Every year we have to go through this nonsense of what LeBron needs to win. You got enough to at least get to the playoffs. You're not going to win a championship, and we cool with that. Nobody's going to hold that against you. There's no way you should. But the problem is, like you said, he in the West now. And there ain't no, even though they just lost to the Hawks the other night, there ain't no Atlanta Hawks out there where you could just kind of coast through a win. No, there's no such thing. I mean, who is really terrible out West?
Nobody.
I mean, look at
it used to be the Suns. Then they got Devin Booker that'll drop 50 on you in the blink of an eye.
Yeah,
so it ain't even in no more.
Right. The Suns are garbage. I don't care about Devin Booker scoring 50 points. That's a loss. They suck. Okay, but besides that, you have to bring at least your B to A- game night in and night out. It wears on you, dog. Like, it just does. I mean, they can't beat. You know who would beat them almost every time? The Nuggets, the Blazers. They don't even want to talk about the Warriors, bruh. The Kings, they struggle with all these teams, man. And like I said before, he better get their ass to the playoffs. I don't want to hear it, man. This dude said the other day, asking him about the playoffs, said you either make it or you don't. That's what we hate about you, man. What do you mean? Like, you either make it or, I mean, it's facts. It's a smart athlete's answer. It's what we would say for life, like having a bigger picture on life. But as a competitor, that's just disgusting. Because, like I said, Kobe was in the same position. And he said, LA, don't worry, we'll get to the playoffs. And from that moment forward, the man played every minute, every game, guarded the best player on the other team. I don't know how many times I saw him guard Damian Lillard, and he's playing point guard because Mike D'Antoni, again, horrible coach. Dropping 40, 34 years old. Why can't LeBron do that? Don't get hurt in the process, though, bro. Don't get hurt, man.
I think one other thing that he said that stood out to me, and I was just like, what? Was when they asked him about the playoff seeds in the East and West, and he said everybody in the East. You know, now that I ain't there, they all feel like anybody can make it to the finals. Now they all got a chance since I ain't there. And I'm sitting there looking at myself like, bruh, ain't you the 10th seed in the West right now? Like, do all that talk. Now, I remember there was a time when people would bring to his face the discussion of, are you dominating because you in the East? He said, nah, man, you know, you got to play ball wherever you at, and it don't matter if you're in the East or West and all this other stuff. And when he was in the East, they asked him about, do you think the NBA should have the playoff seeds as 1 through 16? Nah, man, they don't need to do all that. And now I bet
he want it now.
Because now they're talking about well, you know, I ain't there, so the East. So you acknowledging that the East is easier and you was only dominating because you was in the East. That's why when he said it, I'm just like, bro, like, just shut up sometimes. Like, you make these excuses and you do all this talking, and then what happens is when it gets brought back full circle, then it's a problem. Just like it was a problem full circle when you teamed up, and I know that you say it's different, but you team up in Miami, and then you start seeing other guys teaming up, and you was like, well, you know, they got a lot over there, and I just need more help. Well, you wasn't saying that about teams when you did it. You know, like, everything he does comes full circle. That's why I say I don't get it. But, you know, speaking of teaming up, we're going to touch on real quick the team you love the most, the Warriors. Who can not hang, but who has the best chance of doing anything, of challenging the Warriors?
Sixers. I know we talk about Ben Simmons a lot, but it's the Sixers. They have the most talent. And now we need to talk about Joel Embiid and how good this man is. When he gets the ball on the block, nobody can guard him, man. Nobody can guard him. Nobody. And, you know, they're long. And but again, the problem is their point guard. You know, I don't believe the Sixers will even make it to the finals. I don't. To me, I picked them as my third choice of making it to the finals. But on paper, they have the best team to mess with them. You know, but I don't see it at all.
I would say if Ben Simmons was halfway as talented as he's perceived to be by his biggest supporters, if he was just halfway of what they say he is, I think that they could not only challenge them, I think they could beat the Warriors. But he ain't that guy. You know, like I said, it's too easy to take him out of the game. Your team you're supposed to be one of the best players on your team. You know, they say you put the second best player on your team behind Joel Embiid, and they say that, once he get a jump shot, you know, he ain't got one. So you can't call him that right now based off of when he might get one. He ain't got one, you know, and he don't really put that much effort into his defense. You know, he can't be one of your best players. And if it's that easy to take him out of the game, I ain't stunting them for real. Honestly, I'm looking at this and I'm saying the team that I truly believe has the best chance of challenging the Warriors is the Raptors, and that's because they play defense. That's literally it. They play defense, and I think they play good enough defense on the perimeter to where they can take away some things from the Warriors. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't know who to say. It's really that one-sided.
You know what? You may have changed my mind with the Raptors. You know, I like I said, I think the 76ers are better, but I don't feel like they're going to beat the Raptors. And you know how much I love Kawhi. And if there's one guy that goes face-to-face with Durant and don't go switch with Steph Curry when Durant's coming up, you know what I mean? No, he's going to stay on Durant. Right. That was another punch right there. But, you know, he doesn't stop Durant. Nobody can stop Durant. As much as I can't stand him, it's only because of his decision to play with the Warriors. I know how good that man is, and I know how much he works on this game. But to me, there's one guy that can stand face-to-face to him on both ends of the floor and beat him, and that's Kawhi. And it's not to mention the rest of the talent that's around him. They're long, and they play defense. But here's my problem with the Raptors.
The offense.
They don't have a point. No. They don't have a point guard neither. I don't care what anybody say. Kyle Lowry in the playoffs is Betty Boo. That boy is trash in the playoffs. He's horrible. I mean, this dude here literally, last year was the first year that he was actually okay in the playoffs. It was a huge step of progression for him. But, man, years before that, every year before that, this dude would literally go 2 for 19 in the first 2 games of a series. 0 for 9 from 3. Like, I'm not making this up. This is really how he is. And I would have been traded his ass. If they could have got Mike Conley and they didn't pull that trigger to get him too, that's a mistake, man, because that was the guy you needed. And if there's another point guard that Steph has had troubles with in the past, it's Mike Conley, man. So, yeah, I like the Raptors pick, but for me, it's the point guards between the Raptors and the Sixers. I mean, honestly, who would you rather have? Who would you rather have in the playoffs?
Wait, because to me, the fact that a person has to ask that question when you have a point guard that's 6'10", 240 pounds, and somebody still got to ask that question is more of a shot. Is that even a question?
Actually, but it is a legit question.
It's a legit question.
In the playoffs, Kyle Lowry.
It's funny because you see this so common in today's NBA, and it goes back to what we grew up with. You know, I think we got spoiled with seeing those killers. As much as we love Jordan, we both can agree Jordan was the only killer in the NBA. He was just the best of the killers. It was a lot of guys who wanted to rip your heart out, you know, in the eras before the current one. And today you see these guys disappear. Of those 5 guys listed for the most accomplished over 5 years, over the last 5 years, all of them have disappeared in the finals. All of them, except for Westbrook, because he ain't been to the finals. But they all done disappeared. You know where
he lost in the finals.
He did in the finals. That like the disappearing act that you've seen is mind-boggling. It's just like, how are all these superstars constantly disappearing? That's why I'm glad that you mentioned that with Kyle Lowry, because it's so common. Steph Curry, I would say last year was the first time I really saw him show up in the finals. He got, honestly, I really thought he was going to win the finals MVP because he actually played that well. But that was the only time out of, you know, four tries. Four times of going to the finals, I only saw him one time. Coming from a real Steph Curry fan, I can admit that. Like, I can admit that. It was only one time out of 4 years. And then you look at LeBron, like you said, now he may get you that 40, 10, and 10, but it's going to be in 3 quarters. In that 4th quarter, when you need him the most, and then we seen what he did in Miami. I mean, I will never let that Maverick series go. The dude refused to – he literally pulled a Ben Simmons. He refused to shoot the ball for 4 straight 4th quarters. Like, he refused. He didn't even try. Like, you know.
Hold on. In his defense.
Man, ain't no in his defense. You gotta say,
at least he admitted it, man.
Started if you want to. It's no defending that bullshit. I can't even say performance. He just was there. That existence that he had in the finals against the Mavericks with the Heat, it was so bad. Like, come on, man. Ain't no in his defense on that. LeBron was scared. He got ghost. He said, "Here, D Wade, you do it." Like, he was on some straight up bull. No, man. Like, D Wade, honestly, when you talk about superstars, D Wade, this being his last year, is similar to when Kobe left. Because when you saw Kobe leaving, whether you was a fan of his or not, you knew you was losing something vital for the game. And now you see D Wade leaving, whether you was a fan of his or not, you know you losing something vital to the game. Because one thing you can say about D Wade is he didn't give a damn who you was. He was going for the jugular every time. Whether he was a good shooter or not, he wasn't going to be afraid to pull that 3 ball if they needed a 3 ball. You know, he wasn't afraid to drive the lane and go to the line. Laying his body on the line every single game. You got Westbrook, who's like that. But then who else? You see what I'm saying?
But the problem with Westbrook. Westbrook is a killer like we used to. But his brain it's gotten better, but it's not smart enough.
Which is a whole other subject. But that's what I'm saying. You running out of killers. And now you get these performances in the finals where it's you see these things, you just like, what? Like, you're ruining the game, man. Like, you have a great game going, and then this superstar do some stuff where you just like, really, dude? You know, so that's why I say, man, it's interesting when you point that out. It was interesting to me because I got to think about it. I'm just like, yeah, man, that's true. Kyle Lowry don't show up. Steph Curry didn't show up. Durant and I don't know what he'd done before, but it's been bad. Like with that turnover that he had against the Warriors when you was up 3-1. Like he just dropped the ball coming up court. It looked like he was shaving points. You know, you just seen these guys choke so much. You really don't know what to expect when you get to these big games in postseason.
Hey, you know who else you got to add? And this is why I said what LeBron has done the last 5 years is more impressive because James Harden in the playoffs. He's had some of the worst performances ever. I mean, that fool will have 9 turnovers and 2 points, 3 points.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that year they lost to the Rockets. Kawhi didn't even play. He didn't even play. And man had 9, 10 turnovers and like 8 points. I'm like, what the hell did I just watch? You know what I'm saying? And it's like you said, man. These guys, a lot of them, for whatever reason, they're not killers and they're afraid. Like James Harden last year's playoffs was the best he's played. Now, his last 2 games, he went back to what he normally does in the playoffs, which is just choke it away and just do step back threes, whether they're making it or not. He, you know what I'm saying, he just refuses to adjust. He's not going to step up on defense. That's my problem. That's why I can't say anybody's accomplishments in the last 5 years is better than Bron, dog. Like, and Westbrook, bro, you know I love Westbrook. But what he did last year against the Jazz pissed me off so much. I was about to be done with his ass. It was horrible, bro. Like, dog. And I'm watching the game, and I said, you know what, man? Donovan Mitchell is better than him. I said that last year. Better than Westbrook. And people thought I was crazy, but if you watch the game, are you serious? Are you watching Westbrook? What the hell are you doing? Can we run any plays? Anything? We're just going to come down with you and throw up a 3. How many shots did he take in that game 6, bro? 50, 40? How many points did he have? You got 40 shots, and I hope you score 40 points. Goddamn. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying, man. It's very difficult to be so ecstatic about anybody's accomplishments. And just like you said, with the killer mindset, here's another scenario I'm gonna give you, and this is another reason why I don't respect Durant, because game 1 last year, where was he really at? We saw LeBron out there having one of the best games of his life, but once it got down to it, when it got to the crucial moment, LeBron passed it up. You got Steph Curry in front of you. Man, look, I want him to look at Steph and say, man, please, you too little. You ain't good at defense no way. I'm getting a bucket. Now, if he missed it, I wouldn't have said one word. As long as you shoot it with confidence, I wouldn't have said nothing. Kevin Durant, what he normally does, he's a front runner. Like Tiger Woods is a front runner. He's not really a come-from-behind clutch type of player, or when it's 0-0, when things are tight, you don't see Durant. When do you see Durant? In these last 2 finals, what was his best game? Game 3, when they're already up 2-0. That's when his ass want to show up with the confidence. You know what I'm saying? Now you hooping. Now you good. And even last year against the Rockets, nowhere to be found in games 4 and 5 when things were tough. Chris Paul goes out. Game 6, he struggled all first half because it kind of looked like the Rockets were going to get him. Warriors started coming back. Here come Durant's ass. That's why I don't respect what he does, man. He's a front runner, dog. He ain't there for you when things are tight. That's why it's so hard to celebrate anybody's success right now, because to me, it comes with these asterisks. Like, I don't care about Durant winning championships. Get out of here, man. And I don't care about your MVP because you didn't do nothing when it was tight. You showed up in game 3. And then LeBron want to guard him in game 3 at the end of the game? Come on, man. That's what I'm talking about.
When you said that, I felt that in the pit of my soul, like you meant that shit. like
true,
I felt that way. Hey, all I gotta say is, man, I can't disagree with too much of anything, if anything at all, with what you just said. It's a lack of killers. You know, guys don't really want to show up on that stage until they comfortable. You know, but that's what makes you great. When you not comfortable, you able to show up. You even if you're not comfortable, you can make the world think you comfortable because of how you play. But these guys, man, they don't really want it. They don't step up to it. You know, I'll give Steph this. Even though he is not played as well as I would like him to in 4 finals appearances, I've never seen him shy away from still shooting them up. Like I've never seen his game change where he goes, I'm gonna go get the assist today. He gonna shoot it. I think he put so much pressure on himself, he'll miss it because he's out of his zone, but he gonna still play his game. So I give him that much. But for the most part, that's what you don't see. Guys still playing their game when it's the biggest stage in front of the best players. What you gonna do? You see these guys shy away too much. I'm looking forward to this year's playoffs. It's gonna be a clunky mess, if you ask me. Outside of the Warriors, because I mean, let's just call it what it is. I personally didn't think Boogie Cousins was going to fit in as well as he does. I'm not saying I didn't think he'd be a bad fit, but this is effortless. Like, it looks like he was drafted with this team and molded with this team. He fits too good. It is not fair. Like,
this is what I say about the
Kevin
Warriors.
Durant, forget Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's not even the X factor. Steph Curry is not the X factor. When you talk about this current roster, it is Boogie Cousins that's the X factor because he fits so well, and they've never had a body like that. And the fact that this body can also play y'all game and shoot threes, hell, man, what? No, like it's not fair, you know. So outside of the Warriors games, I think every other game is going to be a mess, and a mess may be a good thing. A mess may be what the NBA needs right now, because it may be the only way that you're going to see good games. Because, like we said, so many guys don't show up. You know, it could very be just a cluster of games where they come down to the wire, not because the teams are playing so well, but because they're playing so poorly, which is terrible. But that's what we've been left with in today's NBA, man. Go ahead before we move on to Kareem Hunt.
Before we move on real quick, I'll say this about the Warriors. I can't stand them, but I will admit what is impressive. One thing that is impressive about them is the team ball that they play on both ends of the floor. And that is why I knew Boogie was going to fit in perfectly, because he's in a locker room led by Steph, Steve Kerr, and all these guys that just believe in team. Now, even let's say with the talents they have, if they didn't play like a team, they would be vulnerable. But that's not an issue with them. That's never been an issue. They play like a team. They move the ball. They help. They recover. They talk. You know what I'm saying? They're just good. They're a good team. And the reason why they can't be beat now, because when they were about to get beat last year, it was because the Rockets had the athleticism to just switch everything. They switched everything, and what happened was, if you switch everything, that takes away all these open threes, and now you have to go one-on-one, which is not Steph's game, nor Clay, definitely ain't Draymond, and now we got to rely upon 35. We got to rely upon Kevin Durant, and he's not going to come through for you. And plus, what he does most of the time is only 2 points. But if you go into this team and you switch everything, bruh, Boogie's going to have 40 points, 20 rebounds, and it's just going to be a slaughter. You cannot do that anymore. You have to play defense a different way. So I'll let you go on, man.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Boogie, impressive, perfect fit. But real quick, we're going to switch over to football, man. It's been an interesting past week. We had a lot of stuff happen, from Kareem Hunt to signing with the Browns, which I'm going to touch on here in a sec, to Kyler Murray making his decision, which was, I mean, honestly, I haven't seen an anticipated decision for what a guy that's not even in the league gonna do like this in a long time. It's been a long time. You know, this was a highly anticipated decision. I got my thoughts on it. But you see the sports world is torn on Kyler Murray, whether he made the right choice, he should do that, another, and whatever. And then the AAFL. They had their opening weekend last week, and then this week, you know, they have their second week. Bill Polian, the former GM for the Colts, he has his hand in on this. He's one of the co-creators of it. And I mean, it looks pretty legit. But real quick, we're going to start off with Kareem Hunt, former Kansas City Chief, yo boy. See the Chiefs thing in the back behind you. What you think about this signing with the Browns? I'll let you go first.
Predictable. That's what I see. And I'll give a quick shout out to my guy Mike Alexander, man. He got OnoVision.com. And he said, when all this happened, man, I'm gonna read you a tweet, bro. He said, Ed Browns, Don Dorsey, I'm on your head because all of this with Kareem Hunt smells like a revenge play. Now, you can take that for wherever you want to take it. That's a theory that's out there. But at the end of the day, basically when the video came out, there was only one GM that would sign him, and it was automatic. The guy that drafted him in Cleveland that could use a running back with a young quarterback right now. You know, take that theory for wherever you want, but my man called it. He said it last year, man. I'm going to give you the date. December 2nd, 2018, bro. When all this happened, he said that. You know, so it's predictable. Now, as far as does he deserve to be signed, I mean, to me, yeah, at some point you gotta give the man a second chance. I do hate the fact this is what irritated me about the whole thing with Kareem Hunt. Not only was it just the domestic abuse, but for him it was so dumb on so many levels. Bro, he was a third-round draft pick, which means he wasn't making much money yet anyways. But at the time, you were a leading rusher as a rookie.
Yep.
You're out. You're guaranteed to get paid. Now, you might not get paid, you know, like everybody else, but coming from a third-round draft pick to getting a big-time contract, man, bro, what are you doing? And what really makes it sickening for me is that he didn't know the girl. He just met her. Why are you getting that angry to that point to put your whole career of millions of dollars on the line? That's just dumb. It's beyond stupid, bro. Like, he needs help with he clearly has anger issues. So hopefully he's gotten the help he needs, and he needs to continue going because it's not over with, man. You have anger like that, like, you know, it takes a while to get rid of, man. But like I said, him going to the Browns is very predictable. I'm interested to see if he's still going to get suspended, which I'm pretty sure he will. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
he will.
We'll see. We'll see.
You know, he real quick, I hit on what you just said. He's definitely about to still get suspended. I don't see nothing less than 10 games. He may be suspended the whole other incidents that the NFL was already looking into before this even got leaked. The NFL didn't even know about what happened at that hotel. They was looking at 2 other incidents before this even got leaked. And then this get leaked, you know how they like to hold stuff against you. I definitely think that he will be getting suspended. And even though he missed the last, 5 games of the season, I don't think that he's going to get, some little 6-game suspension. No. They going to hit him hard because they have to, because there's video. If there wasn't video, they wouldn't give a damn. Look at Reuben Foster. Reuben Foster ain't got no video. He'd have been to court 3 times with the same woman over domestic violence, and he's chilling on somebody's roster right now. You know, he's fine, you know. So if it wasn't video, they wouldn't give a damn. But there's video. They have to. And that's not me saying that if there wasn't video, that it's no big deal, because I'm 100% against putting your hands on women, for real, especially with me. But it's like, you gotta call a spade a spade. The NFL is what it is. It is a business, and they don't really give a damn about nothing else but their bottom line. And if this person can help their bottom line, then that's what they're gonna do. Now, if it's something that's gonna make the fans squeamish or whatever with that person, then they gotta act accordingly. But because he's so young, because he is, 24, 25 years old, and one of the best in the league at what he does, you had to bring him back eventually. So because you have to bring him back eventually, I'm okay with him getting signed. I wouldn't have been okay if they signed him the day after he was released or something like that. Yeah. He got to sit out and do his thing, because technically he can play right now. He didn't have to sit out the last 5 games because the suspension hadn't been handed down. That was Chiefs imposed. The Chiefs suspended him, and they put him on the commissioner's exempt list. You can take him off the commissioner's exempt list whenever you want. You don't need the commissioner's permission to do that. As a team, you can do that. So yeah, they can play him now. They obviously won't. My question is, with him sitting out 5 games, let's say it's 5 games into next season before they announce what his suspension will be. And they say, oh, it's 10 games. Or they're going to say, oh, well, he served 10 games already, so are we going to knock it down, or what they're going to do? That's the only thing I'm curious about. But it made sense to me to go ahead and, get a guy a second chance. I can't stand the idea of, oh, he should never play again. Why? I can get into that if we're going to get into that. But why not? So it's like, yeah, give a guy his second chance or whatever. It made sense to sign him now. Here's why I didn't like who signed him. Why would you sign him? There's literally no reason for the Browns to sign him. I think the Browns are desperate right now because here's why. They just had their best season in about 10 or 12 years. And now they feeling like this is our chance. There's a window that's starting to open for us, and we need to go so hard to get through that window while we can because we've tasted this defeat for so long. And the problem is, yeah, you got your quarterback locked down now. Finally, you have a quarterback in place. But you also had yourself a running back. Nick Chubb, I cannot say this enough. Last year coming out, the only running back I had rated higher than him. And all of this stuff is online. I will post the link on the video with this. The only running back I had listed higher than him was Saquon Barkley. He was my second favorite running back in the draft. Nick Chubb is the truth. Nick Chubb only started 8 games. Before those 8 games, the first 8 games of the season, when Carlos Hyde was there eating up all the carries, Nick Chubb only had 47 carries. How did this man still finish with 1,000 yards? Well, he lost a yard on the last run of the season, so he finished at like 998, which is unfair. But how does he still finish with 1,000 yards in only 8 games, for real? Because he didn't really get no touches before Carlos Hyde got traded off. The boy's a baller, and he's a complete back. He catches the ball, he blocks, he runs well, he can run in between the tackles outside. He's only 5'10", 232 pounds, but the boy can run. He pulls away from guys. You didn't need Kareem Hunt. The reason why I'm against this is because I look at a situation like with Todd Gurley, where you try to force another back in there and throw everything off, which is exactly what Sean McVay did, where he tried to force. So you saw C.J. Anderson run good when you needed him, but when Todd Gurley was healthy and back and you didn't need him anymore, you try to force it in there and you threw your whole offense off. I can see them doing that because now what you're doing is you're taking the ball out of Baker Mayfield's hand because you're trying to get so many carries to these 2 guys and you're really throwing this one off. Neither one can get in a rhythm. Then it's like, oh, we're behind. Baker, catch us up. You're doing too much. And then it ain't like you needed another back anyway, like you needed a pass catching back or something like that. When you just re-signed Duke Johnson, your pass catching back, it didn't make sense. They backfield too crowded. And aside from all that, where is he from? Cleveland. Where did the incident happen? Cleveland. This boy needs a fresh start. Send him somewhere else. I didn't like the idea of him signing with Cleveland. I thought it was a bad move, but it is what it is. We're gonna see how it goes. That's all I'm gonna say.
My only response to that is I definitely agree with you. He doesn't need to be in the state of Ohio anytime soon. He needs to get away. But I'll say this, man. You can't compare C.J. Anderson, that situation, with Todd Gurley because the running back is on Cleveland and not touching Kareem Hunt, man. That's why he got signed. He's better than all of them. I like Nick Chubb a lot too. Kareem Hunt is on another level, man. And he was balling before Patrick Mahomes got there. He is a very good running back that does it all. Everything that you could do as a running back, he does it all. And he's gotten more explosive. So, I mean, we'll see, man. I don't like that he's in Cleveland. Honestly, I wish he would be back with the Chiefs and get a second chance after serving. For real, man. I feel like, and it's no disrespect to the situation. But once you've gone through that and, you're going through, the counseling and all of that, and you're all right with the police and the laws and everything, eventually you get a second chance, and I would want him to not fix, but rewrite what he did in a Chiefs uniform. But so I mean, it's good luck to him, man. But like I said, it's very predictable that he ended up with the Browns.
Well, here's what I think is predictable. Even though I think I wasn't one of a lot who felt this was predictable. I thought it was predictable that Kyler Murray would end up in the NFL. Here's why. Kyler Murray, to me, I've never been one to get too caught up in the whole dimensions of a player when it comes to football. I think it's one of the most overrated things you can talk about is the size of the player, because it truthfully does not matter in this game. Because there's certain things about a player that you just cannot measure. The first is being the heart. Tom Brady says this all the time. They passed up on me because they couldn't measure my heart. And he can name all 6 quarterbacks that was drafted before him in that draft, and none of them's in the league anymore. He said all the time, you can't measure a player's heart.
Hold on. Before you go, this is funny, dog. What round did he get drafted?
6.
6th round, and only 6 quarterbacks were drafted in 6 rounds. That's a bad draft for quarterbacks, boy.
It tells you the difference in the NFL now with the emphasis being put on the quarterback. Back then, running backs were still the top picks, you know.
Right.
You still scan 5 running backs in the first round.
Keep going, man.
Yeah, you know, so I look at it and I say, your size ain't a big deal to me. Can you ball? And they say, oh, how many quarterbacks that's under 6'2" have really succeeded? Well, how many have you given a chance to? You know, the numbers obviously, like, you have 300 quarterbacks that came through the league in the last 20 years that's 6'2" or higher. And of those 300, how many really been good? So the number is going to be the same. The position is still hard no matter what your size is. But every once in a while, you're going to find a quarterback that can do it. The size don't matter. Look at the Drew Brees. Look at the Russell Westbrooks. Look at the Baker Mayfields. Mike Vick. You know, like, you can do it if the guy has the heart, has the work ethic, and can lead. It's that simple. I look at Kyler Murray and I say this was the right decision because I felt like it was always the right decision because I never thought it made sense. Everybody made too much of a big deal about the money aspect of it. If the A's didn't give him $4.7 million, I don't think this would have been as big of a deal. It wouldn't have been as much talk and all this other stuff. I think it had more to do with the money than anything. Here's why I say that. Because when you talk about the NFL draft, if you're a first-round pick, which he will be, if you're a first-round pick, at the bare minimum, you're guaranteed $8 million. As the 32nd pick, you're getting double than what he got from the Oakland A's. At the bare minimum, as the 32nd pick, you'll get $8 million. If you're the number 1 overall pick in this year's draft, I think the expected salary, because it goes up every year, is about $31 million as the number 1 pick. So he's either going to get $30 million.
How many years is that?
4 years.
Exactly.
Because the 5th year is an option. And if they pick up your option, then guess what? You now get the average salary as the top 5 players in the league of your position. So if you're the number 1 overall pick as a quarterback, which there's a good chance he could be the number 1 overall pick, not only are you getting $31 million over 4 years, but then they're going to take that when it comes down to pick up your option 3 years down the road, which it's the top player at the position already getting $33 million a year. Another 3 years, you're gonna have all the top quarterbacks in the $30 million, which means they pick up your 5th year option. You are probably gonna get $28 million for that 5th year. No matter how you slice it, it made sense in the short term. And people say, oh, well, in baseball, the money's 100% guaranteed. It's only guaranteed for the rookie contracts, but then after that, it's not guaranteed anymore. Cool, we'll run with that. How many baseball players get top dollar, get the $300 million contracts? The only players that get it are the sluggers, guys who can rock the ball, and the top 5, 6, 7 best pitchers. That's it. He's not a pitcher, and his hitting is the worst part of his game. He's not a slugger. He's a defensive player that can cover ground in the outfield, will catch anything. He really looked like Willie Mays when he out there for real. Like, he catch everything. The ball don't get past him. He's a future Golden Glove winner if he stays in baseball, which for those who don't watch enough baseball, basically is the defensive player of the year. They don't get paid top dollars. They get that 10-year contract that's $170 million. You $17 million a year. Tell me, what does the backup quarterback in the NFL make? 17, 18, $20 million a year. The case there, you not just get $22 million for last year. Like, come on, man. Financially, it made more sense. He's a better football player than he is baseball player, which says a lot, because if you're a future Golden Glove winner, you're a damn good baseball player, but you're better at football. And football is what you was raised doing. Like, he's been playing football longer than baseball. It made all the sense in the world to me. I love the decision. I think it was the right choice. What you think?
I love the decision because That's what he wants to do. He
Yeah.
wants to play football. Forget everybody and what they say. Do what you love to do. He wants to be a quarterback, and it's been made very clear that that's what he wants to do. So I'm happy that that's what he's doing. And to me, I feel like it's a smart decision to go the football route. The reason why is because of the points that you just brought up. This is not Deion Sanders when you're a cornerback. You're a quarterback. So there's a whole lot more money as a quarterback. And, he's not a receiver. It's the position that he plays. I don't care that he's 5'8", 5'9". Who cares? The fact of the matter is, he can go out here, get drafted, turn out to be terrible, make the same amount of money, and then go back to baseball. Because he's still gonna have all that speed. I mean, unless you could argue he could get hurt. I mean, there's definitely a higher chance of getting hurt playing football. I understand that point, but the kid is so young that he has time to really go after his dreams. And if it doesn't work out, he can always say to himself, "You know what? I tried it, just didn't work out," and then go back to baseball. I'm sure somebody will sign him, right? I'm sure somebody will sign him, and plus, he probably, just like a lot of guys that choose other sports over baseball, who wants to go to the minor leagues for a year or 2 or 3 years or 4 years? You don't know that you're going to make the major leagues. It's not guaranteed. But with this, the fact that he's going to be a first-round pick, you got to go play football, man, because like I said, at the very worst, it just doesn't work out. But he will get a chance to play in front of 60, 70, 80,000 people in a much more exciting sport that most kids would rather play. No knock to baseball. Good game. But me and you both know there's nothing like walking out and playing a game of football in front of a ton of people, man. It's just a different feeling. And he's doing what he wants to do, so I'm happy about the decision. I think it was the right one.
I agree, man. I agree 100%. Real quick, before we get out of here, I want to touch on this AAFL. It had a better debut than I thought. You saw some hits. I saw a quarterback head come off his shoulders. He died.
And you laughing. Yeah, so, bro.
Hey, I must be a Chiefs fan, but
don't come over here with that nonsense. It don't hurt because it ain't true.
Look. Fact of the matter is, the AAFL, they came with it, man, and the best thing about what I think they're doing is, remember the XFL? The XFL was a great success. A lot of those players ended up going on to the NFL because the NFL got rid of the XFL. The reason they did that is because the XFL tried to go head to head with them. They try to challenge the NFL. The NFL is too powerful. You don't challenge them. The AAFL, what they're doing is they're working with the NFL. Like, hey, we gonna work in y'all off season. This will give y'all a chance to scout some guys and do some other stuff. Let us do our thing. And they got Bill Polian in on it, who's ain't good with the NFL. You talk about a guy who was the orchestrator, the guy who put the coach together of one of the best teams over a 10-year stretch ever. The numbers they put up, he drafted all of those guys. So then he's also worked with the NFL for 50 years or something like that. You got somebody that is vested in the NFL to co-create this league with you. And now this league really came out swinging in the opening week. It was a lot of people talking about it. All you see is highlights popping up on every sports outlet and all this other stuff. The AFL had a big opening weekend. They go into their second week. What'd you think of the first week?
Like you said, it was a lot better than I thought it would be. But I think the reason why people will tune into it more is because they allow them to play football. The game is what it was before all these rules, really before all the lawsuits. That's why the NFL has all these rules now. They trying to cover themselves from having to pay these lawsuits. But it's gonna be. I don't want to say it's gonna be a better game, but it's gonna be more fan friendly, more solid football, just pure football. You're not gonna see all these questionable flags and all this nonsense that you have to deal with the NFL. So. Yeah, it was a good week, and I like you said, I like that they are not trying to compete with the NFL. I like that they're bringing in true NFL guys. Some of the coaches, these are true NFL coaches, so the game just getting started out. Now, a lot of these players are very talented as well. A lot of them were just in the league this year. So, the game is going to grow. I feel like we're going to have to talk about it more as it keeps going.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I definitely think that it's going to grow into something bigger because it was such a good success. I think they had a bigger turnout than what they expected at each game. You saw a lot of people in the stands. Everybody was into it. Fans was loving it. The game was physical. It was fun. The names that come with it, the name recognition is huge because it's not always about all those other things that I just named. Sometimes you need that star power, those names, that Dennis Erickson, those certain legendary coaches. Mike Vick is a coach. Like he's an offensive coordinator. Having these names being brought in and then also getting guys who is so familiar, whether they were a bust in the NFL or not, having those familiar guys like a Trent Richardson, things like that. When you can pull all these different names together, and then you get these guys who no one's ever heard of, guys who went to New Mexico or went to, played at NYU. Who knew NYU had a football team? Like you have guys coming from all over the place to mix in with this where they shot to be seen. I think it's definitely interesting. I think it's gonna have a little more success than what people think. Definitely more success than the last league the NFL tried to have. They had too much in on. I don't even remember what that league was called, but it was terrible. It was over in like 2 years. This was more independent, but they're not trying to go against the NFL. I think that's going to work in their favor. I'm looking forward to this weekend. I didn't watch enough of the games last weekend, not because I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was, but then when I watched the one game I did and then went back and watched the others and some of the highlights and things, I was like, oh, wow, I need to watch a little more of this. So this weekend, I'm going to be definitely tuned in a little bit more. Those games, they're going to be on Saturday and Sunday for anybody that need to know on CBS. And I think it's just CBS, but make sure y'all tune in on those. But that's all we got for this week. You got anything before we get out of here?
Nope. About to enjoy these All-Star festivities, bro.
All-Star games this weekend. Again, you got the AAF games this weekend. Combine going to be coming up soon, so we're going to be hearing a whole lot of talk about these young guys that's coming up. I got one guy in particular, a receiver from Ole Miss, that I'm gonna get in his ass because you too big to be that weak. But anyway, it's a whole lot going on. It's a whole lot going on here in this month. Black History Month, of course. One thing that I'm going to touch on real quick before we get out of here, I saw something interesting, an ad that the NFL sponsored, and it was Nate Boyer, the guy who was an Army vet and then got his chance with the Seahawks, all that stuff. He's also the guy who gave Kaepernick the advice to take the knee. Nate Boyer is doing this show where he travels around and he talks about inequalities and all this other stuff in the country, inspired by the whole Kaepernick thing. In that ad, the NFL actually promotes Kaepernick. I thought that was interesting because they're still making money off of him. Real interesting, very, very interesting, but that's the league we got. Well, I'm going to touch on that some more down the line, but that's all we got for this week. We're going to holler at y'all some more. We're going to see how this NBA shake out after the All-Star weekend, but make sure y'all tune in to the games this weekend as well as AFL. That's all we got. We out.
Shout out little Jordan Humphries.